Hello everybody, welcome to my ASMR channel. My name is Alex R. And I've got a book with me here. It's The Portable Nietzsche. It doesn't have a cover because it's pretty beat up. I wrote the title on the spine so that I could still see it, but I'm holding this book because I like holding on to something while I film, but also because it's relevant to the topic. The topic I wanted to talk about is stress, because I've had a stressful day today, and one of the best ways that I unwind is making ASMR videos. ASMR videos. Now, some of my friends know that I have this hobby. My girlfriend knows. She is supportive. She doesn't watch ASMR, but this is really something that I do for me. And the ASMR community feels really big, right? But I don't meet a lot of people who, in my real life, watch ASMR like I do every day. And I like all kinds of ASMR. I like soft-spoken, whispered. I love eating videos. And a lot of people I know, that grosses them out. But I find it very relaxing and I love it. So this ASMR channel is my hobby. This is what I love to do. It's been too long since I've made a video, but this is how I'm choosing to unwind at the end of a long, stressful day. Now, let's talk about stress. The kind of stress that I faced today was a type that comes with the territory of growth. I am making a career change. I was a teacher for 6 years. 6 years. Now, it was something that I did after I got my bachelor's degree. I taught summer camps for kids. I taught them animation. And then when I went to grad school, I taught in after-school programs and in summer programs to support myself while I went to school. Now, I've recently graduated with my master's degree, and I thought I love teaching. I love it so much. Maybe I could get a certification and teach at a public school. But teaching as a profession, it has its drawbacks, and one of those is financial. Unfortunately, there is a kind of cap, and this goes for many jobs. There is a cap in how much you can make, and it doesn't quite scale. Your paycheck doesn't quite scale with ability or experience, and I thought about teaching, and I thought, okay, am I okay with that? I also animate part-time. I'm an animator, and I had all these questions about my career, and seriously, if I could ever afford to buy a home, what are some moves I should make now to set myself up in the future? And I decided to take a risk. I took a risk, and I stopped teaching. My last class was several weeks ago. I said goodbye to the kids. I wished them a good summer, and I started a new career as a tattoo artist. It's a way I can work for myself. I can maintain an artist identity, and I can still grow as a person. And because it's my business, I can scale it however much I want. So I am starting a new career. Now, that has its challenges, for sure. The biggest one being that the type of art you're making lives on other people's bodies forever. Theoretically, forever. And there's a skill involved in tattooing that's separate from drawing. And there's all kinds of things to consider. Sanitation, design, how you're going to work with clients. It's a people-facing career. Sometimes in animation, it's nice because you can work alone and you're just drawing. But when you're a tattoo artist, you now have this people-facing role, this job that's a collaboration between you and somebody else. So, today I did a tattoo that was incredibly challenging and took me way longer, and the person I was tattooing kept spasming. The muscle kept spasming, and I'm brand new. I had never encountered that before, and it was really hard to get the line in the skin with these spasms. And every day I encounter a new challenge that I have to overcome, and today was really hard. And I think the person liked it. It seemed that they did, but I've never had an experience quite like it, and I probably will in the future. And it's just how it is, working with people. But it stressed me out and wore me out. It's the sun is thinking about going down. I'm in California. It's thinking about going down. I spent 4 hours in that tattoo session, sweating bullets, like tense, trying to get this design right. And I want to make the client happy, this and that. But what a day. This book, when I have a day like today, is something I return to. There's one particular passage in here that is a huge comfort to me whenever I'm really stressed. It's actually the first ASMR video I ever made on this channel. I read it in full. It is from the book Thus Spoke Zarathustra. It's the very first section. It's called The Three Metamorphoses, and it's about personal transformation. And that's why I have this book with me. The very first phase of the transformation is the camel. There is the camel, the lion, and then the child. And the stage of the camel is going off into the desert and doing something very difficult, taking on a difficult challenge, because it's going to help you grow. I actually have my first tattoo that I got is a camel going into the desert, because this passage had such a massive effect on me. Such a huge effect on me. I want to tell a story about how I'm a completely different person because of Nietzsche. And, yeah, it's really strange. I didn't expect to be. I started reading this book because I'm curious and I wanted to know, what he wrote. And I wanted to expand my vocabulary because I am very bad with words, very bad with spelling, and maybe you can relate. I come from a small town in the South, and the public school I went to was rated unacceptable, and I had a great time, but my vocabulary was just, I really wanted to challenge myself to, sound super smart or whatever. So I ended up I bought this at a used bookstore, but I read that one passage and it changed my life. Nothing else in here has changed my life. Nothing else I've read from him has. It's just that one bit, and I'm thankful that it had that effect. But basically, the way that this book meets what I've said about changing a career is because when I read this book, I had just graduated from college. I got a bachelor's degree, and during that time in college, I made no friends. None, not one friend. I started off at a small private university, and I made some friends there, but when I realized I wanted to pursue animation, I transferred to a big state school that had a film department, and I spent 3 years there, finishing my degree, and that was hard. That's where I made no friends. And the biggest reason that I spent that time alone, one, I lived at home, so I didn't live on campus. I would get in my car and drive to class, and then I wouldn't talk to anybody. And then if I had a break between classes, I would pack food and I'd find a quiet place on campus to eat. I wouldn't talk to anybody. I would just eat, read a book, go to the next class, and whenever I was done for the day, I would go home and I would spend all my time with these 2 miniature dachshunds. They're passed away now, but they were my babies. I lived with, it's just me and my mom and these 2 dachshunds, and I graduated and I found myself at home with no job and nothing to do all day. And an introvert like myself, I rolled in it. I soaked it all up. I distinctly remember I would spend my days, I would watch Resident Evil Let's Plays on YouTube and eat chips and dip. I remember this. It was Ruffles chips and sour cream and onion dip. And I would watch Let's Plays of Resident Evil, Silent Hill, horror games. And I was in heaven because nothing was challenging me. I was in my comfort zone. Nothing triggered my anxiety. But I started to get really unhappy, and I would try to get myself to animate and say, okay, well, I'm telling myself that animation is what I want to do, so I'm not doing that. And I would give myself, I think I would trick myself into thinking that I was being productive by doing little things. I made business cards for me. Even though I wasn't animating, I decided to make business cards, and I was almost tricking myself, making myself feel productive, even though I wasn't doing anything. And I'd animate a little bit here, but it would be I'd work for maybe an hour, and then I would, turn on the TV and or watch my YouTube again, and fooled myself for months, getting it together, but nothing's moving, the wheel's not turning. Then this book happened. This book happened to me, and another book, which I don't have with me, but I have it in my heart. It is called The Courage to Be by Paul Tillich. And I believe that that's a kind of a religious book. It's kind of Christian. That didn't matter to me at all, because the idea that was in there spoke to me. And it's essentially that there's the type of courage we think of where a firefighter running to the danger. You know, that's courage, right? But there's also this existential kind of courage, which is the courage to be, to live in your life, not just be alive, but to consciously inhabit your life, like to do the thing and like do it right. So in a way, you think about the firefighter running to the fire. For some people, facing your own life, your own identity, your own reality feels like running into the fire. It's something you want to avoid. And I was avoiding my own life, and I was using YouTube and junk food. And at the time, I collected toys. I still have toys. I love toys. I always will. But at the time, like, the highlight of my day was like checking the mail and seeing what, thing had arrived and opening it and looking at it for 2 seconds, putting it away, and then watching YouTube again. Just not good. So this book, the camel going into the desert and transforming into the lion and then into the child, and Paul Tillich talking about courage as like living. Are you truly living? Those two things awoken something in me. And I think it's not necessarily that if you read both of those, your whole life would change. I think timing is a big part of it. And I read those two things when I was ready to hear it. And it worked. At the time, I had this mentor. I decided to take an animation class, and I really liked my instructor. She was wonderful, and she taught a summer camp teaching job. And that year, she couldn't do it. So she asked me if I would want to take it. It was like 5 weeks teaching stop motion animation to children. And that sounded like the most terrifying thing to me. So I said yes, that I would do it. I just read these and I thought, I'm gonna do it. You know what? Here I go. So I walked away from my desk in my bedroom where I would watch Let's Plays and eat chips and unbox toys, and I went to go teach. It was horrible. It was a horrible experience. There was 50 kids, 50, for 5 weeks, and we had 5 iPads that the 50 children would share to make films. So if you've ever tried to get a group of 5 kids to agree on the film that they want to make, it's terrible. It was a terrible job, and I was paid not enough, and I was exhausted and sweaty and overwhelmed, and I felt such a high from it. I felt such a high. I remember this feeling on my last day of the 5 weeks. I went to my car. I was parked on the top floor of a parking garage, and I looked out over Austin. This was in Austin, Texas, and the sun was going down, and I had this feeling like I did it. Oh my god, I did it. And I kind of liked it. Like, kids are weird, I always thought kids were kind of gross, and I didn't know how to talk to them until I taught kids, and then I realized they're really funny and strange and, bad behaved, and that's totally fine. I didn't mind it. Even the bad kids, I was like, this is really fun. So this book and The Courage to Be, they really prompted me to embrace existential stress. And it feels bad. Please don't get me wrong. Teaching felt bad. It felt good, but it was also deeply upsetting to me. And it's been a long time since I felt that, but I felt that today. And I've been feeling that. I'm so nervous when I have a new client. It's like the stakes are so high. And I still feel really good about what I'm doing. And terrible. I felt terrible today, but you just have to feel bad sometimes. And I think on days when you feel that really existential stress, there's kind of two areas that you can go, you know? Two of, I don't know how many, there's probably so many ways to handle stress, but two that I go to all the time. The first one is like little treats. Like today was really tough, but it's important to face that kind of existential stress of discomfort. So I'm gonna reward myself with comfort. I'm making this video. I'm alone in my house. I'm comfortable. I ate food and I feel safe again. That feeling, that stressed out feeling, it doesn't last forever. And I'm enjoying right now not feeling it. And it's important not to let yourself get trapped in it and relive it and relive it. Like, it's over. I did something really hard. Maybe I didn't even do as well as I wanted to, but it's over. And because I did it, I should be very proud. And I can let it go. It's over. It's over. And now I'm home and I'm safe. Great. And then the second thing that I do is I pull this out and I reread it. And I revisit the reasons why what I did today was so important. And why, even though I felt negatively, I felt very painful feelings of imposter syndrome, self-doubt. I felt even failure. I felt vulnerable. That those feelings are still worth it and important, because I'm going to get stronger and stronger and stronger and transform. And eventually, just like teaching I taught for 6 years, it got easier and easier. And my new career will be the exact same. So I kind of revisit those existential philosophies that help me think, that was great. That was great. I was so stressed and miserable. That's wonderful. I'm going to keep doing that. But in manageable amounts, you know. The 4th of July is coming up. So I'm going to go out of town and take a break and not think about tattooing, not even worry about it. And that'll be that battle for me when I come back. And I will be ready for that. I'll be ready to grow. So that is a little ramble about stress and overcoming stress, but a certain kind, an existential stress, one that comes from matters related to your identity. So I'm always thankful to this book. Always thankful. I hope that you found this video relaxing, or that maybe it resonated with you in some degree. Yeah. Either way, I hope you're like me and are enjoying where you are right now and finding some time to relax. I really, really appreciate you being here. This is my ultimate comfort zone, so I appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video.